Hello, this is Carlos from the Church of Christ channel. Please subscribe. Today is going to be a more in-depth video, and this is from my studies and my opinion on the subject. And we're going to talk about the Antichrist, part number 1. I did some studying and some research on where I think that the Antichrist is going to come from. So, two things. So, first we're going to talk about where is the Antichrist, where will he come from? And the second thing is, this is strictly my opinion, okay? So let's look at 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 through 4. Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God. And now this is talking about the end times, okay? Just talking about the end times. So what I want you guys to do is watch this clip of Morgan Freeman, this guy talking about the Jewish Messiah, and then I'm going to come right back.
Orthodox Jews believe that without this temple, their religious rites are incomplete. So they await the day when their temple is rebuilt.
Is there a Messiah
In Judaism,
in Judaism?
Jews invented the Messiah. But it's not the same Messiah that most people think about.
Okay.
Right? Because when Christians think of the Messiah, they think of someone who's divine.
Yeah.
They think of, the end of days. What we have for the Messiah is a man, a king of this earth, who's going to bring peace among the nations in this world.
And he will not be divine.
He will not be divine.
And Urim tells me this mortal Messiah has a very specific to-do list.
According to Jewish tradition, he has 3 things he's supposed to do. Number 1, he's going to reconstitute the Jewish kingdom or the Jewish state. Number 2, he's going to bring peace with the neighbors. And number 3, he's going to rebuild that temple.
The temple. Here we are. This is 2015. What are you going to do now? What is contemporary Jewish position on the temple?
The Jews think of the world in terms of this dream that once existed in the world that was taken away. The Jews want to bring back into the world.
That is the reconstruction of the temple.
The reconstruction of the temple as the crowning symbol of this era of justice and peace that we're supposed to be assisting to bring back into the world.
So as you can hear from the video, they believe that the Messiah is going to be a man, not someone divine, a king of the earth, someone that's going to bring peace to the nations. He is definitely going to bring about the Jewish temple again. And so these are all things that leads me to believe that that person will be the Antichrist. And so let's look at a few scriptures. Daniel 7:23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Okay? So the beasts are the kings of the earth, but this one is going to devour the whole earth. Revelations 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. So he's going to have on, the horns and the head and the crowns represent power and authority, okay, over the whole earth. Verses 2 and 3. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded. His deadly wound was healed, and the world wondered after the beast. So a false miracle where he would die and all of a sudden come back to life, or he wasn't looks like he wasn't wounded. That's kind of a false miracle. Verses 15 and 16, and he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand or their forehead. Now, we'll talk about the mark of the beast the next time, okay, in part 2 of the Antichrist series. So, where do I think all of this is going to take place? Well, you know that we've heard something called the New World Order, okay? A lot of people call this a conspiracy theory, but I believe it to be true in some instance, okay? I know some people talked about, the pandemic and all of that, but I don't really know that much in depth, but I do know this. There's a lot of technology that is coming out that, according to certain articles, and you'll see it here, where the Antichrist can have easier access to do pretty much anything. The technology is here, and all of that for whatever is going to be done is going to be done. All right. And so, where do I think the Antichrist is going to come from? Well, quite simply, I believe, and this is my opinion, that the Antichrist is going to come from the Baha'i faith. That's right. When you look up everything in their principles, and based on the video of what we just heard and what I just broke down, they believe in globalism. They believe in peace to the nations. They believe in a one world government. I mean, all of these things that we see as far as like a one world language, a universal education, a one human race, all of those things are basically principles of the Baha'i faith. And I was just like, wow, maybe this is where the Antichrist is going to come from. Now, I'm not talking about Baha'is in general. I'm just talking about the Antichrist. So let's just not get this confused. But this is where I believe that the man of sin, the man of lawlessness will come from. Now, there was a book even called The World Order of Baha'u'llah, okay? And we'll get to in a second what Baha'u'llah means, but this was written by a man named Shahok Effendi back in the 1920s. And it's funny that this book was written a long time ago. And there's a picture of him, as you'll see, back in 1921. But it's funny that Baha'u'llah actually means the glory of God. Because remember, we talked about that this person would exalt himself as God. So, and I want y'all to read this passage here that I underlined. The unity of the human race as envisioned by Baha'u'llah implies the establishment of a world commonwealth in which all nations, races, creeds, classes are closely and permanently united. Okay? And then when you go down, it talks about the Commonwealth must, as far as we visualize it, consist of a world legislator whose members will, as the trustees of the whole of mankind, ultimately control the entire resources of all component nations, and will enact such laws as shall be required to regulate life, satisfy the needs, and adjust the relationships of all races and peoples. Look at this. A world executive backed by an international force will carry out decisions, arrive, and apply the laws enacted by this world legislature and safeguard the organic unity of the whole Commonwealth. So I think that this is where it's going to come from. There's going to be this world executive that is going to rule everything. And so it's already been written down. I just think that eventually it's just a matter of time. So the next time we'll definitely talk about the mark of the beast and what I think that mark will look like.